All right, let's just jump right in. What we're looking at today is this really fascinating piece of imaginative writing, and it asks a question that is, well, it's pretty out there. So, get this for a premise. What if you took these familiar, super witty personalities and you just dropped them into one of the most spiritually charged places on the entire planet? But here's the twist. They're not just there as tourists. Nope, they're actually part of these imagined, deeply human conversations.
And these comedians, they're basically our guides for this whole journey. They're kind of like our stand-ins, right? They bring all our modern anxieties, our sense of humor, and all the honest, sometimes awkward questions we'd have, and they bring them right into these ancient holy places.
So the journey kicks off, and right away, it's not this peaceful, serene experience you might expect. It's more like a shock of reality. Our pilgrims figure out pretty fast that the Holy Land isn't some passive, pretty backdrop from a Christmas card.
And what I find so interesting is how the source just immediately creates this tension, the gap between what they expected and what they got. The land isn't what they thought it would be at all. It's demanding. It feels like it's studying them just as much as they're trying to study it.
And that quote just nails the first big idea here. This whole pilgrimage, it's not about going around and collecting cool, holy experiences. It's about letting the land itself kind of read you. Okay, so this is where the journey really gets to its core. In Jerusalem, they have their very first encounter, and it's with King David. And he's not there to offer some nice, comforting words. No, he's there to hold up a mirror.
So the big takeaway here, at least according to David, is that holiness has nothing to do with becoming perfect. It's actually about seeing all your own internal conflicts, all your messy, mixed motives, laid bare, no disguise.
And of course, who else but Conan would ask the exact question the rest of us are thinking? He just cuts right through all the reverence with that classic wit of his.
And David's response? Wow. It's just breathtaking, really. He completely reframes all that raw, messy human emotion. It's not a spiritual failure. He says it's the source of sacred art and prayer. And this idea, right, that you find holiness right in the middle of human struggle, that's a theme that just gets deeper and deeper as they go. So next, the journey takes us to Bethlehem. But forget everything you think you know about the nativity story. This encounter with Mary and Joseph, it just strips away all that sentimentality we've built up around it.
I mean, what a powerful, humanizing detail that is. It just completely grounds this epic, divine story in the raw, physical reality of pressure and pain and the sheer endurance of a young woman in an incredibly tough spot.
From there, the pilgrimage moves on to Nazareth. And Nazareth is interesting because it's not defined by some huge famous event. Instead, it's defined by decades of just obscurity, what they call the hidden years. And it's here that the source really hammers home one of its deepest lessons. It's saying that the long, repetitive, kind of unglamorous middle part of life, that's where real faith is actually formed.
And that's Mary's big lesson from her time in Nazareth. All that time when it feels like absolutely nothing is happening, when nobody is watching, that's actually the time when things like patience and character and trust are really being built.
Okay, so next up is Galilee. And the lesson here is all about what happens when this sort of divine interruption smacks right into everyday life. The disciple Peter shows up, but he's not a saint in a robe. He's just a working fisherman, doing his job.
And this is just so crucial. The call, whatever it is, doesn't wait for you to be perfect. It doesn't wait until you feel prepared. It shows up right in the middle of your work, your exhaustion, your total uncertainty. So, okay, after all these incredible encounters, the source poses the big question. What do you actually take home from a pilgrimage like this? And the answer isn't some souvenir from a gift shop. It's a whole new framework for how to live. And look, these aren't just fuzzy ideas. They're presented as real, actionable principles you can use. They completely reframe what holiness means, right? They drag it away from these grand, distant moments and plant it right in the middle of the messy, unfinished reality of our own lives. And that right there is the final takeaway. The whole thing turns the camera back on us. It's asking us to look at our own routines, our own hidden years, our day-to-day work, and see it all with brand new eyes.